Welcome to Bright Education. Today we are going to speak about petrol or gasoline versus ethanol as fuel in vehicles. First, we can see the difference between ethanol and petrol. Petrol is a combination of lot of hydrocarbons which have carbon atoms less than 8 mostly, and petrol has a specific gravity of 0.69 to 0.77. The specific gravity varies because the source of crude oil varies, whereas ethanol the specific gravity is constant at 0.79. And next we'll see about calorific value. Calorific value is higher for petrol, and ethanol it is almost 1/3. So when you use in vehicles for 1 liter of petrol, you have to use 1.5 liter of ethanol to run the same distance. And octane number is 91 for petrol, and it is 110 for ethanol. The color of petrol is orange, and while ethanol is colorless. Next we'll speak about boiling point. Petrol has a mixture of compounds, so its boiling point varies between 30 to 210 degree, and whereas ethanol the boiling point is constant at 78 degree. And auto ignition temperature is a temperature at which the flames catch fire without any external power source. Maybe on compression the petrol can reach to 257 degree, then it will start igniting on its own, whereas the auto ignition for ethanol is 365 degree. So on mixing ethanol with petrol, the auto ignition temperature increases, which reduces knocking in vehicles. Then we'll talk about the flash point. Flash point is nothing but the temperature at which when a flame is introduced, the fuel catches fire. That is 45 degree for petrol and 12 degree for ethanol. So ethanol catches fire easily. Next to the flammability limits of petrol and ethanol, like if you take 100% air, like if a mixture of 1.3 to 7%, 7.6% petrol is available in air, it can easily catch fire when a flame is introduced. The same way in case of ethanol, 3.3% to 19%, the ethanol mixture with air can catch fire. It is petrol, it is not soluble in water, floats above it. Ethanol is soluble in water and it mixes with the water completely. On storage for a long time, petrol can disintegrate and it can form various other compounds which might not burn in engines. Whereas ethanol, if it is stored in tanks without moisture ingress, it can be stored for a long time. Petrol, if it is falling on skin, it can penetrate your skin and it is harmful also. Whereas ethanol, it is just causes irritation and not much harmful. Then vapors of on inhalation, for petrol 300 ppm for 8 hours is harmful, and short term exposure limit is around for 15 minutes 500 ppm. Whereas for ethanol, vapors are harmful above 1000 ppm for 8-hour shift or short term exposure. Normally on combustion, petrol has unburned CO and nitrogen oxides, whereas unburned reduces when ethanol is mixed with petrol. Next we'll see about petrol engine and ethanol engine. The compression ratios vary for petrol engine and ethanol engine. The air fuel ratio required for a petrol engine is 14.7 is to 1. 14.7 is air and 1% is petrol, whereas in terms of ethanol engine, air fuel ratio is 9 is to 1. And the compression ratio of petrol engine is 8 is to 1 to 10 is to 1 mostly. And if the compression ratio is increased, it can result in knocking, whereas if ethanol is mixed in certain proportions for flexi fuel engines, the amount of fuel will vary, so that the compression ratio, at whatever compression ratio, we can fire ethanol. Cold start is relatively easy for petrol, whereas cold start is harder for ethanol engines. And in terms of corrosion, less corrosion, since ethanol absorbs water, it can cause corrosion in engine parts. Whereas petrol is more polluting, ethanol addition decreases pollution. And petrol has good lubrication properties, so less repairs in vehicle, whereas ethanol engines have less lubrication due to ethanol doesn't have a lubricating property, and resulting in parts getting damaged easily. The next we'll see about ethanol blended petrol. Normally most of the petrol vehicles can run on blended ethanol up to 10% in most countries. Like the government of India has proposed to increase the blending up to 20% by 2025. But flexi fuel engines can run on either E85 ethanol blended petrol or E10 petrol, or whatever combination in between them. Normally petrol is added little bit to ethanol so that cold start is easily possible. And flexi fuel engines can run on petrol ethanol blends. That range, whatever range it can run by adjusting the oxygen percentage in the outlet. Ethanol also contains oxygen, which reduces unburned CO emissions. And another problem is ethanol directly absorbs moisture from atmosphere and problems in fuel fairing. Ethanol blended petrol, the lubrication properties will be lesser and causes high wear and tear in engine parts and high maintenance costs, and less fuel efficiency, as the calorific value of ethanol is lesser compared to petrol. Thank you, friends. We'll meet in another topic later.